Hi, my name is Adriel. Welcome back to my channel, and today I will be filming my May wrap-up. It's officially June now, but I figured that means it's like the perfect time to film the May wrap-up because I can just say everything that I read in May because May is over. So I won't be reading anything else in May. So I don't normally do wrap-ups. Like if you watch my channel, you probably maybe noticed that I don't really talk about what I read that month. But this month I decided to do it because I read 7 books, which is a big deal for me because I don't normally read 7 books in 1 month. Some people can do that. With me personally, I can't always read that many books. That's like an accomplishment. That's like something to be celebrated. So I'm here to celebrate it with you guys. So side note, this is like one of my favorite shirts. This has nothing to do with anything. I just really wanted to point this out because I love it. And wearing it makes me feel comfortable and just, that's kind of the vibe for today. So this is gonna be like a chill wrap up video. Also, I'm not gonna like glide past the fact that like the shelf is really coming along. If you guys know, I said I was gonna be redoing my shelves, and I mean I've been redoing them. I just haven't been talking about it, but it's coming along, as you can see. Anyway, on to the wrap up. So this was the month of ebooks for me. I don't know why, it just was. Most of the books that I read, I think only 3 out of 7. So 4 of them I read through ebook and 3 of them I read physically. This is the month of the ebook for me. I was just in the mood to read things on my phone or computer. It was just easier. Yeah, okay, let's move on. So first off, I'm gonna put the titles over here. So let me scoot this way a second. First off, I read Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman, and I don't know if I want to talk about what it's about simply because it's volume 3 and I don't want to like spoil it for people who haven't read 1 and 2. But I will say it's about 2 boys who fall in love, and it's just the sweetest, purest, it's a graphic novel. It is the sweetest, purest, most adorable, pure infatuation that they have for each other, and it makes me so happy. I'm pretty sure if you've been watching BookTube for a while, you've heard plenty of people talk about how good these books are because they just are that good. Like, if you haven't read them, especially if you're into graphic novels, you should try it out. Even if you're not into graphic novels, they're just that good. Personally, I like graphic novels, so this was just icing on the cake. But they're just that good. Heartstopper Volume 3, it got 5 stars for me. I'm checking my ratings because I have it all written down right here. But so if you see me looking down, it's because I have all this written right here because there's no way I have all this stored up here. No way. For book number 2, it was a physical book, and it's one that I actually kind of vlogged reading. And that book is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I did a reread. I think this was my 3rd time reading Frankenstein. And it was a good time because in one of my other videos, I've said this before, but if you missed those videos, in my other videos, I said that I wanted to get a more aesthetically pleasing copy of Frankenstein. Let me get the other one and I'll just show you what Actually, I have 3 copies of Frankenstein. I'm gonna go get all of them right now. Okay, I've returned with all my copies of Frankenstein. So obviously here's the one that I just got. I said I wanted a more aesthetically pleasing copy of Frankenstein because the one that I got in college just was not it. And I like that book too much for it to be in this cover because I just don't like this cover at all. And that's this one. It's like the Penguin Classics cover, which, and then the spine, which I love a good like worn book. I really do. It's like a vibe. But when I really like that book, I just want to celebrate it and get like a nice copy, if that makes any sense, you know? So yeah, there's that one. And then the final one that I've not shown on this channel before is the Dover Thrift Edition. It's just this. This was actually the first copy that I read from the very first time that I read Frankenstein several years ago. Which, funny story, I actually read it. Then the very next semester in college, I had it on the like syllabus. I was like, well, I guess I'll read it again. And so recently I just read it again. So yeah, I really like Frankenstein. That was obviously 5 stars. Oh, okay. The next book that I read in May made my whole month a little bit brighter, you guys. It's a new favorite. I love it so much. It touched so personally to me. It made me feel seen, alive, valid. It just, like, when you can find a book that does all those things for you, hold on to that thing. And I don't even have it physically, and it will be just the joy of the entire month of June if I could just get it physically this month at some point. But we'll see. I'm kind of on a book buying ban right now, so probably won't be happening. But let's just say that I caved and gave into temptation and went and got it anyway. You know, I wouldn't be mad. I would just be, you know, I'd own physically one of my favorite books. So that book is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I love Punk 57. Like, you guys, I didn't vlog my experience, so this is the first I've talked about it. And while I was reading it, I was like, I really should be vlogging this because, like, this is so good. And I want to share what I feel. This is part of the reason why I wanted to do a wrap up, because I was like, I have to tell people how I feel about this book. It's so unbelievably good. It's about, I'm not really great at talking about what books are about, so I'm like trying my best. But it's about two people who are pen pals from the time they're very young, and they grow up together writing letters, and they live like 30 minutes from each other, but they've decided never to meet because when they meet, they feel like they'll shatter the little world that they've created together, writing these letters back and forth. Okay. And so eventually, obviously, they do meet, and it doesn't go well. And it's just, it's so good. That book talks about being like, it's so much deeper than it even sounds. It talks about being yourself. It talks about not trying to, it really talks about being yourself, because it talks about not trying so hard to be what's acceptable all the time, and be what's popular, and be what's talked about, and just be exactly who you are, which is something that I feel like all of us need to hear sometimes. And it just made me feel so like seen in a way that I can't explain. I could talk for hours about this book. So if you haven't read it, put it on your TBR today, because oh my gosh, chef's kiss. 5 stars for that. Obviously, I don't think I needed to say that. The next book that I read was a harsh departure from that. And it was because I was like, okay, don't really want to read another novel. Like another, you know, I think I'll read like a comic book. So I read American Vampire Volume 1 by Scott Snyder. And actually Stephen King wrote part of it too. I just didn't write that down here, but he did. And I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. It wasn't bad. It just was not what I was looking for. And so it was a disappointment. I guess if you go into it expecting it to be what it actually is, it won't disappoint you. I thought it was going to be more about a woman who, because this is what it said, like in the description. It was like, it's going to be about a woman, a vengeful vampire woman who wants to get back at all the people who turned her into a vampire. And I was like, oh my God, it's a revenge story. Like, I'm so into it. It's about a woman too, and it's set in the 1920s, and so it's got that like flapper vibe, and it's just, oh, the vibe from the story is immaculate. However, the story itself to me was not. However, this is gonna be kind of a weird thing. I'm gonna be reading further. I plan to read Volume 2, and I want to like Volume 2 more because some of those characters are quite interesting. Like, the illustrations are amazing. The characters are quite interesting. I do like the main woman character. I just wish she had more of a presence in the story, because her storyline is the most interesting one, but she was brushed under the table. But they led with that in their like marketing of the book, which kind of annoyed me a little bit, because I'm like, if you tell me that the book is about this, then, you know, you want to open it and have it be about that and not like the subplot. And turns out the subplot is the plot. Like, it just kind of annoyed me. I gave it 2.5 stars. However, I don't think it was badly written or anything. It just 2.5. The next book that I read was actually another physical copy, and I vlogged my reading experience. You won't be surprised to see it. And that is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, which I've already kind of talked about how I feel about. It matches. Okay. So I've already kind of talked about how I feel about this book, so I don't really want to go too far into it. I gave it 5 stars. I feel like the poems are just very relatable to a lot of people. I feel like, you know, if you feel like it's a time where you need to read these, you should totally read them. I feel like they're very feminist. I feel like they're very empowering, especially the last section, healing. Even if you're like just, you know, not in the mood to read the whole thing, if you just read the section called healing, it's a good time, because it has sections in there like that. The healing section was, and is always, when I read this, which I've only read it twice, but in both times that I've read it, the healing is the best part, because it waits to the end. You go through all the stuff, and then it gets to the healing, and it's just all these empowering poems, and it's just, I love it. It's 5 stars for me. Okay, in that same vein, the next book that I read last month was Homebody, also by Rupi Kaur, which I liked. I don't think I liked it as much as Milk and Honey, because it, like, to me, Milk and Honey is just like special. So I think it has like a value in that way, because that book means a lot to me on its own. However, Homebody was really good, and I just feel like it spoke so well to the year 2020. And I don't really want to talk about it because I just don't really want to talk about it, but trust me, the book is good. It does have a lot of trigger warnings. All of her poetry collections have trigger warnings for basically everything you can imagine there being a trigger warning for. But, you know, it was a good book, and I rated it 5 stars. So lastly, the last book that I read. Yeah, the last book that I read in May, which I vlogged about it. You won't be surprised when you see it if you've seen the vlog. It is Normal People by Sally Rooney. And I did go on to complete it the very same night. I was like, I'm going to cut off the vlog because I'm just tired. I don't think I'll be able to finish it. That very night, I finished it. So if I extended the vlog just like a few more hours, you would have seen me finish it. And you would have seen me, like, you know. And then I could have put my, like, thoughts at the end. It was just like So for those of you who don't know, this book is it's been very well received in the reading community. It's a masterpiece of literary fiction that I think everyone needs to read at some point in their life. I'm not going to talk about how I feel about this book because I talked about it in detail in my reading vlog, which I will link above right now, so you can click on that whenever you're ready and go see exactly how I feel about this. But I actually didn't give it 5 stars. I gave it 4. And you'll be able to tell why I gave it 4 in that video. But I really enjoyed this book, and I annotated all throughout. I felt like I was like studying for like an essay or something like that, just going through. And at some point I want to go back through and just see what I highlighted, what I wrote in, and just, you know, study it a little bit. I feel like this is a book where the more you look at it, the more you think about it, the more you get. And I want to get the full Normal People Sally Rooney experience, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so those are all 7 books that I read in May 2021. May 2021 was a great reading month for me. I feel like I read a lot of really good books. The first 3 books were all 5 stars. I read 5 out of 7 of the books that I read this month were 5 stars. Like, that's incredible. My lowest is a 2.5, but it wasn't even like an unbearable 2.5. It was just a really good and positive reading month for me. And going forward in June, I hope to read even more amazing books. And I'm just excited about my reading future. I'm not going to do a TBR. As I always say, I'm not a TBR type person, but I do have a couple of books that I will be reading, that I know I'll be reading. And based on those things, June is also going to be a good reading month. So maybe you'll see a wrap up for June. Thank you everybody for watching, and I am so proud of myself for the amount I've read and what I've read and how much I enjoyed what I read. And happy reading, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.